What's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all doing absolutely fine. And today, as usual, we're gonna continue with an essay by Seneca on the shortness of life. It's gonna be the 13th part, so let's continue. It'd be tedious to mention all the different men who have spent the whole of their life over chess or bowler, or the practice of baking their bodies in the sun. They are not unoccupied, whose pleasures are made a busy occupation. For instance, no one will have any doubt that those are laborious triflers who spend their time on useless literary problems, of whom even among the Romans there is now a great number. It was once a foible confined to the Greeks to inquire into what number of rowers is Ulysses had, whether the Iliad or the Odyssey was written first, whether moreover they belonged to the same author, and various other matters of this stamp, which, if you keep them to yourself, in no way pleasure your secret soul, and if you publish them, make you seem more of a bore than a scholar. But now this vain passion for learning useless things has assailed the Romans also. In the last few days I heard someone telling who was the first Roman general to do this or that. Duilius was the first who won a naval battle. Curius Dentatus was the first who had elephants led in his triumph. Still, these matters, if they add nothing to real glory, are nevertheless concerned with signal services to the state. There will be no profit in such knowledge. Nevertheless, it wins our attention by reason of the attractiveness of an empty subject. We may excuse also those who inquire into these, who first induced the Romans to go on board ship. It was Claudius, and this was the very reason he was surnamed Codex, because among the ancients, structure formed by joining together several boards was called a codex, whence also the tables of the law are called codices. And in the ancient fashion, boards that carry provisions of the Tiber are even today called codirae, codira, codicer. Codicery, something like this. Doubtless, these two may have some point. The fact that Valerius Corvinus was the first to conquer Messana and was the first of the family of the Valerii to bear the surname Messana because he had transferred the name of the conquered city to himself and was later called Messala after the gradual corruption of the name in the popular speech. Perhaps you will permit someone to be interested also in this, the fact that Lucius Sulla was the first to exhibit loosed lions in the circus, though at other times they were exhibited in chains, and that javelin throwers were sent by King Bocchus to dispatch them. And doubtless these two may find some excuse, but does it serve any useful purpose to know that Pompey was the first to exhibit the slaughter of 18 elephants in the circus, putting criminals against them in the mimic battle? He, a leader of the state, and one who, according to report, was conspicuous among the leaders of all for the kindness of his heart, though thought it a notable kind of spectacle to kill human beings after a new fashion. Do they fight to death? That is not enough. Do they torn to pieces? That is not enough. Let them be crushed by animals of monstrous bulk. Better would it be that these things pass into oblivion, lest hereafter some all-powerful man should learn them, and be jealous of an act that was no wise human. Oh, what blindness does great prosperity cast upon our minds, when he was casting so many troops of fresh human beings to wild beasts born under a different sky, when he was proclaiming war because, proclaiming war between creatures so ill matched, when he was shedding so much blood before the eyes of the Roman people, who itself was soon to be forced to shed more, he then believed that he was beyond the power of nature. But later these same men, betrayed by Alexandrine treachery, offered himself to the dagger of the wild slave, and then at last discovered what an empty boast his surname, Magnus, was. But to return to the point from which I have digressed, and to show that some people bestow useless pains upon these same matters, the man I mentioned related that Metellus, when he triumphed after his victory over the Carthaginians in Sicily, was the only one of the Romans who had caused 120 captured elephants to be led before his car. That Sulla was the last of the Romans who extended the Pamparium, which in all times it was customary to extend after the acquisition of Italian but never of provincial territory. It is more profitable to know this than that Mount Aventine, according to him, is outside the Pamparium for one of two reasons, either because that was the place to which the plebeians had seceded, or because the birds had not been favorable when Ramus took his auspices to that spot, and, in turn, countless other reports that are either crammed with falsehood or are of the same sort. For though you grant that they tell these things in good faith, though they pledge themselves for the truth of what they write, still whose mistakes will be made fewer by such stories, whose passions will they restrain, whom will they make more brave, whom more just, whom more noble-minded. My friend Fabianus used to say that at times he was doubtful whether it was not better not to apply oneself to any studies than to become entangled in these. Alright, guys, it was a long one. And today we're gonna continue on the next part. So thank you for joining this session. We're gonna continue tomorrow. Bye.